That storm that we were just talking about, Steve, that severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado tag, they have actually now upgraded it to a tornado warning. This includes Wayne and Pulaski County. The city of Monticello is in this and just on the edge of Somerset. If you are in this, you need to be in your safe place right now. Basement is the best if you can be in a basement. And even if you're in the city of Somerset, I'm going to go ahead and tell you to get in that safe place or just be in a room, the most interior room of your house where you're not near any windows and on the lowest level of your house. But this is really starting to move into parts of Wayne County, Monticello specifically. So if you know anyone in Monticello, if you know anyone that's maybe asleep, call them, try to wake them up. If you're in the Mill Springs community of Wayne County, also need to be in that safe place. I'm going to go ahead and try to switch this over to velocity here to see if we have any type of rotation on here. And it's really hard to see, maybe down a little bit, down more to the south. With this system, two things. One, it's in between radar sites, so it's a little bit harder to see that rotation. And with these types of storms that we are going to continue to see as we head throughout the rest of the evening and overnight hours, quick spin ups. And what that means is that a scan or two, you might see it and then you might see it go away, or maybe not even seeing it at all. So that's why they're going to go ahead and put that warning on here to show you guys. But I do think we might be seeing a little bit of rotation right here in the Powersburg community up to Zola. Areas along 90 here up towards Monticello is likely seeing a little bit of rotation moving into that area. So definitely need to be in that safe place. I have Evan on with me as well. Evan, you have the National Weather Service up. Do they have any updates for us?
Paige, so far no updates from the Weather Service out in Jackson, but I did want to point out, I was looking at the warning, which again goes till 11:30 for Wayne and Pulaski counties. This storm is moving to the northeast at 65 miles per hour. So you don't have a lot of time to take shelter if you have not already, just because we're dealing with storm moving that fast, and that's because we have a lot of wind, especially up higher in the atmosphere, up towards the jet stream level. Winds are moving really fast, and it's helping push those storms to the east and the northeast at highway speeds out there. So if you haven't gotten in that shelter yet, go ahead and get there real quick, even if you're in places like Mill Springs or Somerset. It's not on top of you now, but it will be coming up very shortly.
Yeah, and like Evan said too, even if this isn't spinning 60 miles per hour, that is a lot of wind. So straight line wind damage can even be a major concern. And once again, this goes until 11:30. We are going to stay on with this as long as we need to in the Monticello community, Mill Springs, and even if you're in Somerset, go ahead and get in that safe place as you are on the very edge of this. And exactly what Evan said is that we are going to continue to watch this. It's moving very quickly and will be into Somerset here very, very quickly. I'm going to go ahead and try to zoom in more on Monticello. It's kind of going in between radar signs. You guys can see that here. It's almost in a dead zone is sometimes what we call this. So it's really hard to see that rotation, but you could definitely see some heavy rain, some lightning, kind of those little lightning strikes that you guys see here, that indicating lightning with this. Evan, do you think that, let me pull it up velocity again. Trying to see if where that's a little bit better. Maybe that's a little bit better. It's kind of hard to see. Once again, it's going in between radar sites, but maybe some type of rotation down into this area, that Powersburg to Zola. So basically right along even 90 or that 696, moving just into Wayne County. I think that might be the greatest where we are seeing that rotation possibly. And I can't really move it without it switching radar sites, but you guys can kind of see it right there. We talk about those reds and those greens. So a red goes away from the radar, green goes towards it. And so when we get that, that's when we get that rotation, or that couplet we like to call it, creating kind of that spin up. Now, Evan, I think this is a little bit broad, but once again, it's in between radar sites, so it's definitely hard to see.
Right, and it looks like, I think we're looking at the Louisville radar, which is out at Fort Knox. If you know where Fort Knox is, it's way up just southwest of Louisville. So it's looking up at the storm, and the radar beam doesn't go straight out. It has a tilt to it. It has an angle to it. And the farther away you get from that radar, the higher that beam is. Now, the beam from that radar, as you go towards Clinton County, which is in the Louisville area's responsibility, and then into Wayne County, which is in the Jackson office's responsibility, that's about 10,000 feet. So we're looking at very high up in this storm, whereas I think the view we're looking at now is from the radar in Morristown, Tennessee, which is going to have a different view of this storm. Now, I'm seeing that a little bit if you kind of zoom in there, right along that Clinton-Wayne County border, just to the southwest of Powersburg, where we see kind of that lowered area of darker greens next to the bright blue and the white there. That, I think, is where, if there is anything, it's right in there. And thus far, let me double check with the Weather Service. I've had another radar source open in front of me, but so far nothing new from the Weather Service. I'm checking with Louisville right now just to see if they've had anything from the Clinton County side, and so far nothing there.
And you said this is moving northeast, correct?
Moving northeast at 65.
So you could see it's moving up towards that way. Evan, if you want to track this out for us, actually, that would be great. I'm going to let you take over radar there for a second, but I think you're right, Evan. I think it's right on that Wayne County line. The Powersburg community, if you know anyone in that, they need to be in that safe place. But Monticello being, of course, that major city that we see in Wayne County, and it's going to be on your front door in minutes, and especially it's even moving into parts of Somerset pretty quickly, or parts of Pulaski County into Somerset possibly pretty quickly. Need to be in that safe place. If you know anyone in the city of Somerset, in Pulaski County, go ahead and just get in your safe place. Better be safe than sorry, because we could possibly see this get extended. So moving into Monticello, it says 11:37. Really not a lot of time here. Go ahead and get in that safe place. Mill Springs, 11:48. Of course, these are just approximate times. You already have that warning out for areas like Monticello, Mill Springs, and even Somerset is basically in that warning, so you already need to be in that safe place. It says it'll arrive at Somerset around 12:09, but once again, just go ahead, get in that safe place. It could be into parts of even North Corbin, depending on how this moves. Right around 12:30, or maybe this storm could be tracking into kind of Corbin and London here in the next about 30 to possibly 45 minutes. If you're in that area, not time to get in your safe place, but a storm to keep an eye on as this continues to push to the northeast. And it's moving very quickly at 60 miles per hour. I'm going to go ahead and take us back to radar here. We can get another look at this. Did not mean to do that. So that tornado warning for Clinton County, which is just outside of our area, has been canceled. That was actually supposed to go until 11:30 our time. So it is somewhat speeding up a little bit. Now, Evan, we talked about kind of a little bit more rotation down towards this way, but it looks like that area is not really that worn. So it looks like this might be becoming it's really hard to tell. There we go. That's a little bit of a better look at it.
Right, and we're getting the different radars like Paige was talking about. This is kind of in between. We have kind of 5 radars we use here, and it's kind of in between 3 of them. The Weather Service radar at Jackson, the one in Morristown, Tennessee, and it's on the very far reaches of the one in Louisville. So a lot of times if it's this far from the radar, they see the rotation very high up in the cloud, they may issue a tornado warning as a precaution. And at this point, I see no reason to think that we have had a touchdown. There have been no reports. I'm looking at some stuff behind the scenes here that from a radar perspective doesn't seem to me that there has been a touchdown of some kind. But in these situations, you can go from nothing to dropping a quick tornado very quickly. So that's why we want you to go ahead and get in that shelter, get into that safe place, because really these things can happen in the blink of an eye, because we're kind of dealing with these embedded in kind of a line of storms, and they can really just kind of spin up very quickly and then go away. We had a situation just south of Louisville, it would appear earlier on tonight, just like that.
Yeah, Evan, do you mind to take off the tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning just there? So I want to zoom in on some of the communities that are in this, so I can call out these communities to hopefully get you guys in your safe place. So Monticello, Mill Springs, of course, if you know anyone along 90, 1275 and 90, basically up from Monticello into Mill Springs, into parts of Fraser, and then even heading into the Pulaski kind of side of thing. If you're in the community of Nancy, you're dealing with heavy rain right now, but you are in this tornado warning until 11:30. You are in this, so you definitely need to be in that safe place. Like I said, Somerset's just on the cusp of this, so go ahead and get in that safe place. This could likely be extended into more of Somerset, but Somerset is right there on that line. Need to be in that safe place as this is moving into your area. If you are in the Burnside community of Pulaski County, you need to be in that safe place. Trimble in Pulaski County as well. Go ahead and get in that safe place. Zooming out here so we can have another look at the storm producing just very heavy rain, possibly even some hail. It is small hail with these storms. I think it said pea-size hail with winds up to 60 miles per hour when I saw this just get issued. So hail is not a big concern with this system, but just those quick and brief spin-ups are possible, especially now into parts of Monticello and Mill Springs. I'm gonna go ahead and try to bring velocity back up and see if we have a better look at the rotation. Let me try to move radars here. That's a little bit better. What radar is that running off of, Evan?
It's like Louisville there, Paige.
Yeah, it's really hard to see. I'm gonna try to get Jackson's on it. There's definitely producing gusty winds. We can tell you that right now. And I know that we usually show velocity and we try to show those reds and those greens together. And this is very hard to see, but those light blues that you're seeing, no matter what, that is very gusty winds. And we don't talk about this sometimes enough, but sometimes straight line winds can do just as much damage as a tornado. So we do know this storm is producing those very gusty winds. So go ahead and get in that safe place. Like I said, even if it is not a tornado that is impacting you, sometimes these severe thunderstorm warnings can do just as much damage. And it looks like it's just starting to move into the city of Monticello in Wayne County. And then we'll be moving into Mill Springs, Burnside. It'll be moving into Somerset, the community of Nancy possibly, and then once we get north of that, we'll deal with that once it starts to continue to move more to the northeast. I'm going to take us back to a single site here and zoom out a little bit so you guys can see it there. Definitely producing some very, very heavy rain. And like we said, it's really hard to tell with kind of these radar signs, or we're in between three of them here. It's not a complete signature. It's not a typical signature that we see. But with these storms, the environment that they're moving into, this area that it's moving into, saw some sunshine earlier, hasn't seen a lot of rain today. Some of us have, but I know parts of Wayne and Pulaski County have not seen a lot of rain today. So they have more of that energy, and plus we have that cold front moving through, and these are just the storms that are popping up ahead of that cold front. Evan, if you'll take us back out, maybe we can see where that main line is. I know earlier it was back towards still kind of I-65. Oh, it's sped up quite a bit. It's past I-65, and that storm that Evan was just talking about just south of Louisville is still going as well. That was moving through E-Town, about 20-30 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, these storms are moving very, very fast. I think that warning was for about 40 miles per hour, but the cells that are popping up ahead of this main line along this cold front have been moving at 65 miles per hour. There was actually a storm earlier today. It was actually the one that went through Nashville. If you saw that, there was some hail and some high winds with that storm. Basically went from Bowling Green to Cincinnati in about 2 hours. It was moving at 75 miles per hour. This one's moving at 65. So again, highway speeds means you don't have a lot of time to prepare if indeed there is something from this storm in terms of a tornado, or even, we don't need a tornado to cause damage. Even straight line winds can cause quite a bit of damage out there as well. Just taking a look, not seeing any new information from the National Weather Service so far, which is good news. Usually in this situation, no news is good news. We haven't gotten any reports of anything out of that storm yet, so that's certainly good news.
And here's that main line too, just because we're seeing that stuff pop out just east of I-64. Of course, that is kind of that main line. That's that main cold front. You could see where those clouds are too, just moving out of Nashville. Nashville already in the clear, but here is that main line, and that is moving to the northeast. So we are going to continue to watch those push into our area. And these storms that are definitely moving into parts, are moving over the plateau now and moving into parts of East Tennessee, will continue to push into our area, and has a history of producing some strong to severe thunderstorms, and has a history of of producing some tornadoes. Like Evan was just talking about, this line produced a couple of tornado warnings back towards Nashville. I'm not sure if anything was confirmed on the ground. I think it was earlier today, but I'm not sure with this exact line if anything was confirmed, but it does have a history of producing some very, very gusty winds, some stronger storms, some hail, and even some tornado warnings. Now it is moving into our area, which is a little bit more of a different environment, where we're not expecting as severe weather as they were seeing, of course, down into Nashville. However, it is moving into parts of the Cumberland Valley that did get a lot of sunshine earlier today. Sunshine usually helps fuel those storms, so that's definitely something to keep in mind as we watch these storms move into our area. I'll take us back to single site here, zoom in. Oh, I'm drawing everywhere. That was not what I wanted to do.
Let me get those boxes off there for you, Paige.
Yeah, Evan's gonna help me here. There we go. Alrighty. Zooming in, let's see if I can get a better radar here. Maybe it is falling apart a little bit as we look at all the different radars. It's not as strong. Yeah, it looks like it might be falling apart a little bit. Let me take you to velocity real quick. That'll help. It's still producing some pretty gusty winds, I would say. Definitely in the Monticello area right now. If you're kind of in the western part of Wayne County, it's definitely starting to push out of your area. But if you're in Monticello or know anyone in there, definitely seeing those gusty winds in that area. And that's going to continue to track up towards parts of Pulaski County and Somerset. Evan, I'm going to put single site back on. And if you want to track this out for us, I'm going to try to zoom out. You got it.
Let me see here. Yeah, it's finicky with these multiple radars, but that's the view from Jackson right now.
It's definitely breaking apart, not as organized.
But sometimes in these cases you can get kind of, when they break up, you can get kind of some spinning going on with that as well. Hopefully that's not what we're seeing. I'm trying to zoom out here because a forward speed of 65 miles per hour means I need plenty of space to get this to work here. Let's see, 65 to the northeast, and it's already moved, so let's try that again. Let's see here. All right, let's zoom back in and track.
We'll definitely keep an eye on, of course, that storm that it moving into parts of central Kentucky, but that's going to continue to push more northeast and might track a little bit more towards Lexington in our area. But there's that track out. Somerset moving in around 11:56. Go ahead and get in that safe place. I already said Somerset is in this warning. I know you guys are kind of on the edge, half in it, half out it, but let's go to get in that safe place and could get there a lot quicker. I think this storm is moving pretty quickly, and if it holds up, this storm could be moving into London by 12:30 or maybe even sooner with it moving super quick. And of course, these storms are ever changing. They could speed up, they could slow down. It could be moving into the Burning Springs community by 12:57. Of course, it's not warned that yet. If you are in London or Burning Springs area, it's not time to get in that safe place yet. Just be prepared heading into about the next hour. So of course, Laurel County is in a tornado watch until 2 a.m. Evan, will you actually pull up that tornado watch so you can show people that? A lot of this area is in a tornado watch till 2 a.m. You can see parts of Laurel County, Knox County, Whitley, Wayne, Pulaski, all of you guys, Rock Castle, you guys are in this until 2 a.m. So just stay on guard, stay with us as we head into the next couple of hours. I do think we could see it possibly get canceled earlier than 2 a.m. But stay up late with us, and of course we'll be here continuing to track this. Let's go back to that storm. It looked like we were seeing some heavy rain down into Bell and Harlan County, but I know none of that is on that severe side as of now, but they've been dealing with that for the past about 30 minutes or so.
Looks like we have a new tornado warning for Wayne and Pulaski again, Paige.
Okay, yeah, they have extended this. All of Somerset is in this. All of the city of Somerset is in this warning. And how long does this go until?
This will be in place until midnight.
Until midnight. So we are going to, of course, stay on this until then. But yeah, they're continuing this tornado warning until midnight. This does include the city of Somerset. And so if you know anyone in Somerset, in Pulaski County, call them, wake them up. They need to go ahead and get in that safe place. And that safe place is the lowest floor of your house. basement is the best. Some of us don't have basements, so that means just getting to that low level floor, getting into an interior room away from those windows, away from those outside walls. Evan has tracked this out for us. So it's moving into Burningside around 11:38, Shopville around 11:57. Could be moving into the city of London by 12:22. Could be moving into the Burning Springs community by 12:47. But it is now moving into Pulaski County. So go ahead and get in that safe place if you are in the Burningside community all the way up to parts of Pulaski County. I'm going to erase that here and zoom in on this storm.
While you're doing that, Paige, we just got a report in from the Weather Service. A trained spotter reported a funnel cloud near Monticello about 10 minutes ago.
Okay, so a funnel cloud usually means that is a very low cloud, and funnel clouds are capable, of course, of producing tornadoes. But
Do you need a clear on that, by the way?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
You're good. So when you have funnel clouds, those are obviously different than tornadoes. They're not considered tornadoes until they hit the ground. So a funnel cloud just means that they're seeing something spinning. It's not quite on the ground yet. It's still in the air, but could possibly come down. So that's more than likely why they have continued this tornado warning here. I'm going to try to zoom in. Here, Evan, you try to zoom in on it.
For you there.
Yeah.
That's the correct. Okay. So the tornado warnings continue. We have that one that's in effect for most of northwestern Wayne and southwestern parts of Pulaski. That will expire here in a couple of minutes or so, but areas in that second polygon, we always say, we call these polygons, basically from Monticello up to, and it goes all the way to that Pulaski Rockcastle County line. That's the main area of action to be on the lookout for the potential of a tornado. We've already gotten that report of a funnel cloud earlier out of Monticello. I'm not seeing anything kind of behind the scenes on the radar that would make me think that anything has touched down at this point. We haven't gotten any reports of touchdowns. That's the good news so far. But still watching that tornado warning that does continue for another half hour or so, Paige.
I'm going to go ahead and put us in velocity. As this gets a little bit closer to our area, it gets a little bit easier to see. But that is mostly just some gusty winds, just kind of to the eastern half, I would say, of parts of Wayne County. And then starting to see that's going to continue to push into parts of Pulaski County, including the city of Somerset. You guys need to be in that safe place. It looks like the western part of Wayne County, if you are west of Monticello, you're getting into that clear zone. You're not in the all clear yet, but you are getting into that as this storm continues to push to the northeast. I'm going to take us back to single site here. And there's that. There you go. They canceled that other one, or that other one expired there right at 11:30.
Yeah.
So Monticello, you're still in this one until 12 a.m. I'm going to let you know when you're in the all clear. Not quite yet. Let's wait till this gets out a little bit, but definitely producing some heavy rain. Definitely could also be producing some hail, mostly small hail. How fast is this storm moving? Is it still moving at 60?
So it's moving now at, it would appear 55 according to the warning.
Right.
So
it's slowed down a little bit, but still moving pretty quickly. Even if this isn't producing a tornado, it is more than likely producing some very gusty winds. But the city of Somerset is in this tornado warning. Let's go ahead and zoom in on some areas. We'll call out Mill Springs. You still need to be in that safe place. You guys have been in it for a while now, but continue to stay in it. If you are in the Burnside community of Pulaski County, if you are in the city of Somerset or know anyone in the city of Somerset, almost all of Pulaski County is actually in this warning. Even the Science Hill community. If you live along 27, basically from Science Hill all the way down to Burnside and even more to the south of Burnside, if you are along 27, you need to be in that safe place. If you are in the Nancy community, also need to be in that safe place. If you live along 80 or live towards Mount Victory, you also need to be in that safe place. You guys are on the leading edge of it, but still need to be in that. If you are in the Shopville community of Pulaski County, once again along 80, need to go ahead and get in that safe place. If you live along 39. You need to go ahead and be in that safe place right now. And what that safe place means is the lowest floor of your home, a basement preferably. You want to be in the most interior room of your house, away from those windows, away from those outside walls. And go ahead and get in that area. Make sure you have shoes on in case a tornado does hit. You want to have those shoes on. And so I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. It's moving through the Mill Springs area. You're still not in it. If you're in Monticello, I'm going to go ahead and give you the all clear for now. It looks like you guys are okay. I know you're still technically in this, but we are starting to see the system, of course, push out of that area. I'm going to go back to velocity here. It's still really hard, of course, to see any type of rotation. I'm going to try to go to the south.
Morristown's got a slightly better view of this.
Yeah, they do a little bit. I'm going to step off, Evan, and let you.
So it would appear now, I mean, it's very kind of disorganized. We're talking about, at this point, we're talking about different shades of green rather than the green and the red, but that could still indicate where we have a difference in speed of the winds, can indicate if we're perhaps dealing with some rotation. And if I had to pinpoint any spot, there's Jackson, there's Morristown, I would signal right along just to the south and east of 790 as you go from Gregory up to Burnside. That would have the potential. And, you know, in these situations, we can have more than one area of rotation inside of these storms that can spin up. And looking at another source kind of behind the scenes here, that would appear to be the best location. Kind of going now up towards, I'm trying to get a better view of this from Morristown, right along 27 too. That's another area that would appear to be on the have the potential. There it is. Thank you, Paige. I was looking for my telestrator. Moving to the north and east, right towards Mount Victory, if it stays on that current path. That is not a strong signal of rotation, particularly strong. It doesn't scream to me that there is something there, but it does tell me that there is some rotation there, and we have to take this storm seriously as it moves on off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced that this was going to get extended into Pulaski, but getting that report of from a train spotter of a funnel cloud, that definitely obviously warrants this to be continued. So if there is a funnel cloud earlier, if you're just now joining us, earlier in Monticello reported by a train spotter, so that storm is continuing now to push into parts of Pulaski County, and we're going to have to continue to watch it. And a funnel cloud just means that it's a rotating cloud basically still in the air. It's not a tornado until it actually hits the ground. So that's kind of what that means in case you're not really sure, because some people think funnel cloud, tornado, not quite the same thing, but this is really just now, it's really moving into parts of Pulaski County. If you are in Pulaski County, you really need to be in your safe place, especially most of the county is in this. The Burnside community, of course, the city of Somerset already need to be in that safe place. We told you about 30 minutes ago to go ahead and get in there, so you should already be there. Nancy community, go ahead and be in that safe place. The Science Hill community from Shopville and even down into parts of Mount Victory. Go ahead and get in that. Yes, we're talking about it starting to be a little bit more disorganized, but once again, with that funnel cloud reported, this is still could possibly touch down. That funnel cloud could possibly touch down and create a tornado. And with these storms that we are going to continue to see as we head into the next couple of hours, they're kind of, we talk about brief spin ups where these storms could just briefly spin up in one scan and then come down in the next. So that's something to keep an eye on as we head into the next couple of hours. I'm going to go ahead and pull up velocity again, maybe to see if we've gotten an update from a scan. But once again, it does, Evan, I agree with you. I think kind of that area, maybe along 27, it's kind of, it's hard to see it there. But when I go to the Morristown,
if I can switch to like turn off the other ones and just do Morristown. Let me
because now that, because you can see that red and that green there, that's a little bit better of an indication. It's definitely a little bit more broad. When we say broad, that we want kind of that tight rotation, but we also have to remember that we are in between radars here, and that is it's very hard to see that rotation when we're very far away from the radar. We usually want to be a lot closer to the radar, so that's why this rotation likely does look broad here. But I do think we're definitely seeing a little bit of it, but it might be higher up in the atmosphere versus lower to the ground. And we need that rotation lower to the ground, of course, to see these tornadoes start to, or these storms to spin and create some tornadoes there.
Right, and I'm just looking at another kind of off-screen source here on my laptop, just kind of looking around the different radars. The rotation here, even from the Morristown site, looks pretty broad from our radar down from the National Weather Service in Morristown, but it's still showing that in a couple of spots, is that the Morristown radar?
I think so. Okay. I think it just updated.
All right, looks like, I mean, we were on the edge of that coverage area. When you see those purple areas, it means we're not dealing with very good data, and it's because we're pretty far away from the radar site. But it's areas where you see that red and that green close together. Switch over to Jackson real quick. It's still pretty far away from Jackson. And where you see those bright colors, you're seeing very fast winds. We're talking, I mean, this storm is moving to the northeast at 55. And I believe from the Jackson radar, we're looking about 6,500 feet up right there. And so that means we're seeing very high winds that high into the storm. You know, the radar is saying, I don't need meters per second actually, hold on. But the radar is saying just right now, just south of Highway 27, crossing Highway 27 now on the, that we have some pretty high winds. Again, that's going to be more aloft, but we can sometimes get these winds to the ground. We're talking winds at that height of 70 to 80 miles per hour, just because we have a lot of dynamics in place for a lot of these particular storms to kind of spin up out there. And we're not looking at a ton of rotation at this point. I've seen very broad areas of rotation. Let me switch that back to the Morristown radar here, and it's not looking too good right now just because we're so far away from that radar site. Yeah,
it's really hard to see at this point. And we're obviously going to continue to stay on the storm. I'll be surprised if they keep this warning until midnight, but we'll see. It's definitely really, really hard to tell. Evan, if we can, let me see. I'm going to actually take us out.
Actually, Paige, it looks like that tornado warning has been let go.
They have let go. Well, let's go ahead and get a look at the bigger view. They've also let go, I think, of that warning that was out towards central Kentucky as well.
Yeah, they had a couple of, there was a severe thunderstorm warning for places like Bardstown.
It was this storm that's kind of moving into Danville now. All right, well, right now we don't have any warnings in place. Of course, we still have that tornado watch until 2 o'clock in the morning. So we will jump back on here, of course, if we get another warning in effect. But for now, we're going to let you go back to CBS.